When is he thinking?
The whole building is available.
I'm Carissa, very nice to meet you.
He takes very good care of us.
Hey, we have 10 in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
I love that. Oh, Jimmy.
I agree with you 1,000%. It becomes hard when something keeps moving the goalposts.
Well, yeah, she's really having a good
Right.
Somebody will say, well, she did that for you.
Why can't you?
For me? That's what you're
Right. Well, that's why the idea of a contract or whatever with her is a good one. But it's hard, I know.
Yeah, it's just having a piece of paper.
Right.
Nice to see you. Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought you did that. Yes, she was at the Hanukkah Fest. No, we did the sister. Yeah, we did this. Hey, why don't you guys come over here? We'll just have a sweet party all around here. Yeah, let's all sit in the middle.
You want your own space, or you want to sit back here where you have a little more space for shooting?
John, you have to take it.
Yes.
In droves. Up to you. Okay.
Oh my gosh, look at, we're having a crowd. Hi, long time no see. Hi. Wow.
See, we put some air freshener. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome, and thank you so much for being here. We have a Minion Plus in the room. That sounds like it could be a new streaming service, Minion Plus, right? So we can begin now, and we're going to start by singing Shalom Aleichem together. Let's open our Siddur on page 5 at the bottom of the page, and please join me. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's turn now to page 11. We'll continue with Psalm 95, the very beginning of Kabbalat Shabbat, the service that welcomes Shabbat every Friday night. Lechune Ranana, please join me at the top of the page. Lecho neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, litzur isheinu. Lecho neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, litzur isheinu. Nekadama fanav, nekadama fanav, nekadama fanav, betoda, bizmirot, bizmirot, narialo, bizmirot, bizmirot, narialo. Lecho neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, litzur isheinu. Lecho neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, litzur isheinu. The heavens shall be glad and the earth rejoice. The sea in its fullness roar, the meadows and all that grows in them exult. Even the trees of the forest shall sing praise as God comes to judge the earth, judging lands with righteousness and people with divine truth. Let's turn to the middle of page 14. And right at the top section of the page where the Hebrew is, right where the arrow is pointing, let's sing together, Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umlo, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umlo, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Let's turn to page 20, bottom of the Hebrew section, and let's sing together Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodesho. Now let's turn to page 21 for Psalm 29, Mizmor LeDavid. Please rise, page 21. Mizmor LeDavid, Havol Adonai Bnei Elim, Havol Adonai Kavod Va'oz, Havol Adonai Kevod Shemo, Hishtachavol Adonai Behadrat Kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover harazim, vayeshaber Adonai et arze halevanon, vayarkidehem kemo egel levanon, v'siryon kemo ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yechol Elayalot, Vayechesov Yeharot, Uvehechalo Kulo, 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 Kulo Omer Kavod, Adonai Lamabul Yashav, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Os Le'amo Yitain, Adonai Yevarech et Amo Vashalom. You may be seated. We will now turn to page 23. We will continue with, excuse me, with Lecha Dodi. We'll continue with Lecha Dodi because we are at now the tail end of that period that's between Passover and Shavuot, known as the Omer. There is, as we've done the past few weeks, a special melody for Lecha Dodi that is done during this time period. This Friday night will be the last Friday night this year that we will do this melody for the Omer, because next Friday night coincides with Shavuot itself. And because it coincides with Shavuot, we actually don't recite Lecha Dodi when Shabbat and a holiday fall out together like it does next week. So tonight will be the last time that we do this special melody for the Omer. We will do the first two stanzas, page 23, the middle stanza on 24, and then the final stanza on page 25. And that will be the moment when we all rise, face the entrance to welcome Shabbat officially at that time. Page 23. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha, Ki mekor hameracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machashavat echila, Lecha Dodi likrat chala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Page 24 in the middle. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Ki va'orech kumi ori, 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 shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alaich nigla, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise and face the entrance. Page 25. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam besimcha uvetzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Bnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala. Bnei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. And we will continue now with the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92, which begins on top of page 27. Please join me. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatecha balelot, alei asor va'alei navel, alei higayon bechinor. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer leshimcha elyon, ulezamer leshimcha elyon. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. Middle of page 28. Tzadikat hamar iferach, ke'erez balvanon yizke shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzerot Eloheinu yaferichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tsuri tsuri velo avalat habo. A man was walking down the street, and as he's walking down the street, he passes by a small alleyway. And from the alleyway, in the shadows, he hears somebody calling out to him, somebody whispering to him, "Hey, mister, hey, you, come over here." The man very cautiously starts walking down the alleyway, and all he sees is an old, decrepit greyhound dog that is tied with a piece of rope around its neck, the other end tied to a pipe that's sticking out of the wall. The man is looking around for the person that called out to him, and the dog again looks up at the man and goes, "Hey, mister, down here, down here." The man is amazed. It's a talking dog. The man didn't care what the dog looked like, didn't care how old it was, didn't care that it had mange and fleas and wasn't bathed. The dog says to the man, "Can you untie me? I used to be a very well-known dog athlete. I'm a greyhound. I won over 15 races in 1 year. I can't be in this condition. Can you please untie me and let me go?" So the man thought to himself, "My God, a talking dog. I must have this dog for myself. I can make a lot of money and become rich." So the man goes and finds the dog's owner, says to the owner, "How much do you want for this dog?" The owner says, "You don't want this dog, trust me. You don't want it." And the man said, "No, please, I really want to buy this dog. How much do you want?" "No, you don't want this dog." "Sir, I will give you $1,000 for this dog. This dog is absolutely amazing. Think of the achievement this dog has. And the owner says, "What are you talking about? That dog has never won a race in the day of its life." Think about it for a second. The moral of that joke is each of us perceives everyone and everything around us differently. The man who was walking down the street saw the amazing talent of a talking dog, whereas the owner saw that the dog was a liar. And the idea of perception and the idea of how we either talk to our neighbors or don't talk to our neighbors, that we know our neighbors or don't know our neighbors at all, is reflected in this week's Torah reading. And in this week's Torah reading, we begin the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. The Torah reading outlines how, in what formation, the Jewish people moved and wandered throughout the desert. In the center was the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary, the tabernacle. Immediately surrounding that were the three different camps of the Levi tribe, plus the camp of Moses, Aaron, and the priests and their families. And then surrounding that on the outside was everybody else, broken up into the different tribes. And if we think of that formation is used in different civil engineering projects nowadays. If anybody has ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, that is exactly how it's set up. It's also known as hub and spokes. Okay, there's a central hub and everything else emanates from that central point. But if we think about how the Jewish people were formatted in these different camps, would it have been possible for, let's say, one of the tribes or one of the camps of the Levites, whose sole responsibility it was to focus on the temple anyway, to talk to or communicate with, let's say, the tribe of Reuben or Yisachar or something that was all the way over on the other end of where everybody was encamped? The takeaway from this is that it's very easy to ignore our neighbors. It's very easy to think inward only of our own households or our own encampment, so to say. But we also must remember there's always other people and other things going on around us that will equally not only affect those people that it affects, but could potentially also affect us as well. And so with that idea and that message, let us continue now with the Mariv evening service. We'll turn to page 39a in the Siddur. And I invite everyone to please rise for the Baruch Hu that is at the top of the page. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Please join me on the English side of 39a as we recite together the first blessing of Mariv. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Living and ever-present God, may your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמים לא חלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם, page 40. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We'll continue privately with the second and third paragraphs of the Shema, page 42. Adonai Elohechem, top of page 43a. Emet ve'emuna kozot ve'kayam aleinu, ki hu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ein zulato, v'anachnu Yisrael, God brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom and led them through the divided water of the sea of reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name, willingly accepting God's sovereignty. Then Moses, Miriam, and the people of Israel joyfully sang unto you, Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, adorned in holiness, revered in praise, working wonders? Top of page 44. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא נורא תהילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקר ים לפני משה זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פרד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. We will continue now with Hashkivenu, top of page 45. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Vehamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Uferos aleinu sukat shelomecha v'takenenu beitza tova milefanecha v'hoshienu leman shemecha. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We will now turn to page 46 for Vishamru and Chatzikadesh. Please rise. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו Amen. And we will now continue with the silent private Amidah that begins on page 47 and concludes on page 52. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. You may be seated for a moment. At this time in our service, we're going to switch moods and we're going to pray for those who are in need of healing and those who are ill in our community. If you have a name that you would like to add this evening after I read the list, please go ahead and rise in your place, and then after I read the list, you'll be able to recite the name at that time. If there's anybody online that wants to say a name, please go ahead and unmute. We'll sing the Debbie Friedman version of Misha Berach and then read the names. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Chava Sarah bat Basha, Esther Neshama bat Sarah, Yehudit bat Kalman, Rachel bat Esther, Diane Chodoro, Alan Chodoro, Larry Levy, Nechama Malka bat Devorah Shoshana, Manoach Avram Halevi ben Ilana Michal, David ben Razel, Mirit bat Miriam, Aaron ben Chaya Golda, Yardena bat Sarah, Yarea Sarah bat Nechama Malka, Dan Shaw, Al Montano, Sandra Kite, Healy Solomon, Kathy Brown, Gary Guto, Harriet Feinberg, Arnie Tenenbaum, Frank Todora, Philip Todora, Brandon Simpson, Ken Gasser, Cynthia Chapman, Ira Robinson, Deborah Tarika, and Diane Hernandez.
Joseph Gonzalez, Stevie Buchanan, Terry Buchanan, Steve Rosenberg, Kirk McDonald, and Kevin Robinson.
Robert Zima.
Sue Wallach.
Is there anyone online who would like to add a name? May they all find healing soon. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We will continue now with the full Kaddish, middle page 54. Yitgadal v'yitkadashem erabah. Be'almadi v'rakirutei v'amlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayi l'chol Beit Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kari v'immeru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'le'al me'almaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'immeru. Amen. Titkabal salot ahon v'atahon d'chol Yisrael kodam avahon divishmaya v'immeru. Amen. Yesh lamar rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'immeru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'immeru. Amen. We will now continue with the Friday evening Shabbat Kiddush. I invite everyone to turn to page 55. If anybody would like some grape juice, we have some cups and a bottle of grape juice here. For those who are here in person, if you're watching online, please go ahead and get your wine or grape juice now. Page 55, please rise. I'll just wait a couple of moments to make sure that the grape juice is poured. Page 55. Savarim Anoran Verabanan Verabotai, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Borei Peri Hagafen. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinifilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uv'ratzon hinechaltanu, Baruch Atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. L'chaim. We'll continue with Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kevoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. על כן נכבד לך אדוני אלוהינו. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. At this time, we are going to take a moment to remember those in our community that are no longer with us. This Shabbat, we remember Jack Kleinfeld, Harry Hinden, Arkady Mayakovsky, Pauline Morantz, Samuel Lebovich, Bernard Reiter, Albert Stone, Ken Haynes, Al Rader, Charles W. Robinson, and Ted Stiefel. Adrian Buckhalter. And if there's anybody else you're remembering this evening, please take a moment to remember them in your mind and in your heart, and may their memory be for blessing and goodness. We will continue with Mourner's Kaddish, page 58. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divara Kirutei ve'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv imru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevarach le'alam alalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemed Kurusha Barichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. In a moment, we will conclude this evening with Adon Olam, but before that, we have a couple of announcements.
Very few.
Okay.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Welcome to our service. Tomorrow's service begins at 9:30, and it's a very special service. It's the service in which the confirmation class will be honored, and a few of them are actually here tonight. The confirmants are Adina Clark, Noah Timmons, and Milo Lostetter. These are right at the top of the list here. And so the families are also sponsoring the Kiddush, and we thank them for that. Next Friday and Saturday is Shavuos, 9:30 and 9:30 are the times for starting our service. So please try to be here for Shavuos. It's a very festive holiday, lots of blintzes and things like that. So.
Okay. All right, thank you, Harvey. Yes, let's indulge in the Jewish genetical problem of having lactose intolerance by having dairy on Shavuot next week. It's very important. Speaking of that, Thursday evening next week on the 24th, I believe that day is. In the evening, there will be a community study session happening at Congregation Albert, in which both the clergy there, as well as me and a couple of other local clergy in town, will be teaching different study sessions. That will begin at 7:30 p.m. at Albert on Thursday evening next week for Shavuot. The first day of Shavuot services that Friday morning will be here at 9:30 in the morning. We will be reading the Ten Commandments and reciting Akdamut, an additional prayer for Shavuot. And then the second day of Shavuot will be Shabbat next week. That will include the Iyyar service as well on the second day of Shavuot. Next Friday night, we will still have services at 6 p.m., but they will be a little bit different because, as I mentioned earlier, the service is different when Shabbat and a holiday fall out together. So that's all for next week. And then, Vicky, if I remember correctly, there's something on Sunday, Sisterhood something, right? Joint Sisterhood Luncheon, that's a joint luncheon with Bnai Israel and Albert. That's happening here at 11:30 on Sunday. And then just looking ahead real quick into the summer, in the middle of June, the Friday night of June 16th, we are going to have a young family Shabbat service outside along with a barbecue Shabbat dinner. More information is going to be coming out very shortly if it didn't come out today. Where is Misha?
She sent information. I saw an email. Yeah,
Did it go out today?
Yeah, sure did, and I'm already getting phone calls for vegetarian options.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, if you have ideas for vegetarian options, because it is a barbecue, please let us know as well. We want to try to accommodate everyone. So that'll be later on in the summer in June. Okay, with that, let us conclude with Adon Olam on page 211. I'm going to invite Aviva and her older brother Noah, who's one of our confirmants for tomorrow, to help lead us. Page 211. Ready? Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam Ve'acharet kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam vehu haya vehu hove vehu yeh betifara Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefso kol Azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam vehu echad ve'ein sheni להמשילו להחבירה אדון עולם, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה אדון עולם, אדון עולם, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצרור חבלי בעת צרה אדון עולם, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום מקרא אדון עולם, אדון עולם, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, בידו אבקין רוחי, בעת תישן ואירא אדון עולם, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא אדון עולם, אדון עולם, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם. Good job, guys. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will see you tomorrow morning, 9:30. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.